Welcome to Sex on the Floor podcast. This podcast was created to help educate the public about problems with sex and intimacy and how this is tied to both physical and mental aspects. Hosted by myself, Dr. Molly Hart, a passionate pelvic floor physical therapist and owner of Pelvic Balance Physical Therapy, and by Dr. Katie Schubert, a phenomenal sex therapist and owner of Cypress Wellness Center. We are here to have a good time. We're here to keep it real with you all and to educate along the way. I'm so excited for you to join us. We strive to help many relationships prosper in fun, safe, and healthy intimacy. While listening to the show, please remember that this information is not meant to diagnose or treat any medical conditions. Please speak with your medical provider for all things related to your healthcare. Hello all, this is Dr. Molly Hart and Dr. Katie Schubert here with another episode on Sex on the Floor podcast. And we've got a fun topic today for you. Dr. Katie's going to be leading this. I'm just going to be here for fun commentary. But we're going to be talking about ADHD and sex. And I'm excited to see where this goes. So, Dr. Katie, lead us.
Yeah. So we did put a whole lot of planning into this because, as I told Molly before we started recording, I had every intention to come with like academic resources. And I didn't have the time to put it together. So I briefly read over an NIH study on this, which confirmed my clinical experiences with clients who have ADHD who report sexual issues. So we're just going to talk about this topic from what we know as clinicians, and Molly can speak to, I guess, how the body reacts to like stress and overstimulation, because I think that's what a lot of people with ADHD experience. They experience higher levels of stress, higher levels of overstimulation, like a higher percentage of intrusive thoughts, and the body obviously, reacts to all of those things. And Molly is a body expert. I can speak to what the brain's doing, and she can speak to what the body's doing. So, with that being said, I think that I'd like to just briefly give my stance on ADHD and kind of how I see it presenting with my therapy clients. And again, this isn't like what I'm about to say isn't backed up with any clinical research that I can provide at the moment. I'm sure if I dug, I could find it somewhere. But these are just all of my clinical experiences with ADHD and what I know about ADHD from my own observations and my own lived experiences. So in my opinion, what I've seen is that there tends to be like two main groups of people with ADHD. The people who really haven't learned how to work with their brain, and their brain is still presenting a lot of issues as a result of their ADHD. So people with like executive functioning issues, they can't get the dishes done to save their lives, or they have a million things to do in the house and they're so overwhelmed that they now have like analysis paralysis. Like, where do I start? What do I do? Which one goes first? The thought of, putting together a family dinner is so overwhelming to them because they're thinking about the whole process from start to finish, and they get so overwhelmed by all of the information and all of the stimulation that they just don't start because it's too big of a thing. And then there's the people who maybe have gotten a lot of therapy over it, or who are on medication, or who have been living with it for a really long time, who are like the overachievers, I would say. So the people who can tackle it all and be very efficient and, run the world because their brains are going a mile a minute. Neither one is easy to do as an individual, right? Like, it sucks being stuck in that executive functioning paralysis. And it also sucks having such an overstimulated brain that you can't like sit down and turn your brain off. They're
Yeah.
both they're both very difficult places to be. But a lot of people, think it's a better place to be if they're able to work with their ADHD instead of against it, because we are brought up in the society where we are told that ADHD is a disability, and that, if you have it, like, we need to give you some accommodations because your brain isn't functioning the way it should. I'm using air quotes for
Yeah.
people who can't see me. And I feel like that's such like a ick thing to tell people with ADHD, because my opinion is that ADHD is like a really cool way of having your brain function. It's just like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's like you're just extra.
Yeah.
Or, as you know, I've seen it on the internet, like you're neuro spicy, which
Yeah.
is very like accurate. Like, you just have a lot of good stuff going on in your brain at any one time, at any given time.
This is,
Um,
you're just describing me right now, by the way. So my whole family, including my mom, people wanted some of my brothers medicated. My mom refused to. So she just honestly exercised us. Like, we were just always, she was always getting our energy out, and we had no sugar in the household, like literally the most healthy food, because she couldn't handle us on sugar. But none of us have been officially diagnosed. I've never been medicated. But everyone's, my close friends, especially my husband, they're like, "Oh my God, Dick, you're a lot." Because that just, my brain doesn't stop. I have learned how to cope and how to
yeah.
get myself to stop, but it's very hard for me to turn off.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
super hard, right? Like, you have, so one of the cool things to do, like, if you have ADHD and maybe you're like partnered with a neurotypical, like a non-ADHD person, there are these simulators online that are like friggin' fantastic, in my opinion. And I keep saying my opinion because I want you guys to really understand that this is really all of my opinion. Like, I'm not like, I haven't done my research, but I do know a lot about it, just from experiences. But if you Google ADHD simulator and then you show it to someone who has ADHD, like, it's kind of an emotional experience, because you're like, oh shit, like, other people function this way too. So, just really briefly, like, it's a lot of times it's like the internal monologue of a person with ADHD, and it's like all of these thoughts that are like on top of each other.
Yeah, that's how my brain works.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
tabs on my computer, my whole team makes fun of me. I have 20 tabs open always on my computer, and they're like, "How do you do that?" I'm like, "Well, because I'm in the middle of multiple tasks, and I
Yeah.
can't. I get a lot done. I get them
Mhm.
all done, but I can't stick with one task for very long before something else distracts me or comes up into my mind, and then I go to that one. And so I'll have, like, my husband comes home and I've got like the laundry going, I've got the dishes, I'm cooking dinner, and they're all being done. I'm getting them done if I have the energy.
Yeah.
Just, it's not boop, boop, boop. It's mrr.
Yeah, that's yeah. If you were to say it with no words, that is the way to say it. And that's really typical. But like the tab analogy is fantastic. Like, right now in the background of my computer, I can see maybe like 20. And then on my phone, I think I have 40 at the moment. Because my task today was to like start deleting tabs on my phone, because my phone's running really slowly.
Oh yeah. That's how I know I've overdone it, is my computer and my phone yell at me.
I know, they're like, slow down. Come on, I can't keep up.
I'll be doing biofeedback with my patients, and the bird chirps and it like shuts off, like the whole system shuts down. And I'm like, oh, I need to restart my computer. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. So the tab analogy, that's happening in brains too. Like, your brains have that many tabs open. And the interesting thing, and I can't remember, I'm running short on resource and on references right now, but I did hear this somewhere from someone who knew more than me at the moment. And she was talking about the brain and how, in terms of like consciousness and awareness, the human brain can really keep like three things on stage. So if you think of the brain as like a big auditorium with a stage, and at any given time, like, you can have three things going on that you can remember And if you add one more, so if you add like a fourth, like you're gonna forget all of them. So
Mm.
it's really important to only have like three things on stage at once. Like I need to remember this and this and that. Like my kid needs, milk from me. I need to start cooking dinner. I need to put the wet clothes into the dryer. Like you can remember three easily, but if you add a fourth, it's all over. And so ADHD brains do this where it's not, you don't have just three things on stage. You have like 20 or 40.
Yeah.
And then you start forgetting shit, right? Because you can't remember all of those things at once, which is why you see a lot of people with ADHD, like they have Post-its everywhere.
I was gonna
like,
say, I have a hack for it. I have a notes tab on my phone, and then I have Post-its all over my desk right now. Let me show you all my Post-its. Where are they? Like, there's so many. Let me just prove the chaos of my life.
the chaos of your brain.
Like I've got this tab, I've got this, I've
Yeah.
got this, I've got multiple. Look at all these. I still need to get to these.
Yeah. And sometimes when you see, a person who has not yet mastered that coping technique, they'll have like 20 notebooks and they can't remember at that point like what they wrote in what notebook or where they put the notebooks. So
Yeah.
they've written it down and it's somewhere safe out of their brain, but now they can't remember like where it is or
Yeah.
what the notebooks are for.
Are you saying that you have a little bit of ADHD yourself?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, because I'm like, you're speaking like, yeah, I'm like, you're because you said you have all these tabs open. I don't know about you though. I don't forget. I don't forget.
Well, because you have note cards, right?
I do that so that way I allow my brain to stop thinking about that. It's more I write it down so that way I give my brain permission of like, yes, I know that's on the to-do list. We like shuttle it away, but it'll pop up again. Like I never forget things. It'll
That's
just, the
amazing.
problem with me is that actually it'll continue to circulate in the brain until it gets done. And that's my motivation to get stuff done, is because I'm sick of it circulating in here. And I don't want to listen to it anymore. So I'm like, I'm going to get this done. The problem with that is when, as a mom and a business owner, do you not have stuff? So then I always have shit circulating. And that's
Yeah.
where what I've done, my coping hack is I am either in work mode or I'm in family mode. I truly I have an on-off switch. So when I'm not in my work mode is only Tuesday through Thursday. Those are the only days I allow myself to do anything with work. And I'm always in a rushed mode because I have so much shit to do that I'm like, I only have these 3 days to get it done. You got to get it done. Because then Friday through Monday comes and that's all I ever allow my brain. If anything work pops up, I am aware of it. I detach from it and I'm like, okay, let's be present or let's focus on something that needs to get done with the family. Because I have two like lists going. That's how
Yeah.
I've managed it.
Yeah. And that's fantastic. And if you can do that, power to you. It's hard for a lot of people to do that. A lot of people with ADHD don't have that on and off switch. And that it kind of like, so let's talk about sex for a minute
Yeah.
because that's why we're here. So a lot of people don't have the on and off switch. So what I hear from a lot of people with ADHD is like, I have a million thoughts in my head. I have a million things I need to do. I hear this from moms too.
It's all moms. Yeah. This is
Yeah.
the majority of my patients.
Yeah. And they may or may not have ADHD. Like, so in terms of like a Venn diagram, like moms and like ADHD and like sex, sex is in the middle. There's so much overlap there that it's so hard to like tease apart what's actually happening because again, one of the things with ADHD people is that they get overwhelmed. And moms get overwhelmed. And
Yeah.
dads do too, but like traditionally in our society, moms are like in charge of like that second shift and so forth. So the overwhelm contributes mostly to like the feelings associated to sex. But people with ADHD say things like, I have all of these thoughts happening in my head and I can't turn them off to be present and mindful during sex.
Mm.
Or like, they'll be having sex and have like intrusive thoughts like, well, how's my partner feeling? What are they noticing? What are they seeing? What are they smelling? What's going on with that? And they're not able to turn that switch off. They're not able to just be in their bodies and be present and enjoy the experience because there's so many other things happening. There's so many other stimuli coming in. There's so many other stimuli that are already in their heads, like the thoughts that they're having, that they can't just like slow down and be. They can't
Yeah.
be
They don't
present.
know how to get in that parasympathetic mode.
That's a great, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, the body, yeah.
Yeah. That's how I view it. Because if I'm in sympathetic go, go, go mode, I can't turn off. So I have to force myself to get into parasympathetic mode and then then I'm fine.
Mhm.
And honestly, for me, at least, that has a lot to do with how much caffeine I've had, how much rest I have had. And then sometimes I'm using something else to get there.
Yes.
So that makes sense. So with sex, a big thing that you're saying then clinically is they can't be present with it because their mind is everywhere else.
They have a hard time. Yeah. People with ADHD have a very hard time slowing down and being present. Another thing you see, like if people are doing like risky sexual activities, or if they have a lot of partners, or if they need that like one step up for stimulation to enjoy sex, like that one step up and then one step up and then one step up, it's not always indicative of ADHD, but often because when you're scrolling through like Instagram or whatever social media platform that you like, you see the people, at least in my feed. I don't know why. I told James my husband this the other day. I said, I am terrified of heights, and I feel like my phone like fucks with me on a regular basis because it always shows me these people like free climbing these tall buildings.
Yeah, I
And
don't have it on my feed. So do you look at those videos a little bit longer?
yeah, I watch it
That's why you
completely.
keep
I'm
getting
like,
more.
but I can't stop. Like one day they showed up and I just watched them and I'm like, this is insane. Like these people are insane. Like they are free climbing skyscrapers and I couldn't stop watching.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Hilarious. I'm sorry, because my feed doesn't have that. Now because you just said that, my phone's gonna hear and I'm gonna start getting them.
yeah, you're gonna see them. But you know what? I bet you dimes to dollars, those people have ADHD. A
Probably.
lot a lot of these people who are stimulation seekers, or risk seekers, they have ADHD because the overstimulation, like their brain feeds on it.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. So I'm super sensory seeking. I didn't know that ADHD and sensory seeking went hand in hand. Okay. And honestly, I see it in my daughter. She's just like me in so many ways. I'm like, "Oh God." Um
Yeah,
but
yeah.
she's got my husband's calmness. She can chill. So
Well, good for her
maybe
right now.
but the sensory seeking part can be a problem.
But also sensory avoidance. So I think,
Hmm.
and again, this is all based off of my experiences. But I think that people with ADHD are just more sensitive to sensory input in general. So they
Okay.
seek the sensations that make their brains happy, like free climbing skyscrapers. But then they are also sensory avoidant to the things that they don't like. So they might have like, I'm sure my husband has ADHD and he can't, what was I eating the other day? Like eggplant or something with a weird texture. And he's like, that, no, like that texture isn't going to do it for me. Or like, I can't touch suede. Like suede creeps me out.
Oh wow.
Like
Okay.
mother. But I've heard other people like talk about other sensory things that they avoid, but then they chase sensory experiences like skydiving, like things that will get their brains a lot of like
Input.
input. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. There's just
So you see both. So with ADHD, you see a little bit of sensory seeking and a little bit of sensory avoidant. It just depends on what it is.
yeah.
Okay. I mean, is that everybody? Like, how is that different than the average person then?
I don't feel like neurotypical people are so sensitive to sensory stimulation.
Okay, so that makes sense. So I'm just gonna throw this because I'm just like learning about this because I think I've avoided looking up ADHD because I knew I had it and I just didn't want to know about it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I was like, I'm fine. I love myself. Who cares? That's what I tell myself. Um, I get overwhelmed easily if only if I am tired.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't rested enough, and I'm doing too much for what my energy level can handle for that day. But the reason why I never thought it was getting over, so my husband doesn't have that. My husband is absolutely neurotypical. He's so calm and just, yeah, he's beautiful. Thank God he's not here. We could not survive. But he also doesn't overload his plate like I do. Like I'm doing 20 million things in a day. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm like, oh, I'm not sensory overstimulated. I just did too much. So I overwhelmed myself. That's how I always viewed it.
Yeah, but the question to ask about that statement that you just made is like, why are you in this position?
Because I do it to myself. Yeah, because I
Yes.
overload myself. So that's how I've coped is I've learned to not schedule too many things in a day. And it's taken years of like working on this because my natural go-to is to overload my day with too
Yeah.
many things.
But also, I will add, you've learned how to cope by not overstacking stuff in your day, but you've also learned how to cope by being very busy,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
right? You just need
I
to
don't know how
find,
to not be busy.
and if you weren't busy, you'd probably be bored to death.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean so that's par for the course, right? Like that's how ADHD people, like high functioning ADHD people, describe their lives, is that like, oh my God, I'm so busy. I have a million things I need to do. I need to learn how to not do so much. And then they get to a point where they like tone way down and they're like, oh my God, I'm so bored. Like I need more
Yeah.
stimulation.
Nope. No, it's so true. That's why, so I think you've heard me say this if anyone's listening. I have, and maybe this is why I've come up with this rule. I have this rule of trying to get 12 hours of sympathetic and 12 hours of parasympathetic a day. And why I say that, because my brain, it's so task oriented. Like I have to like check it off that I'm like, okay, resting is something that I'm getting done. That's a check off. I view that as productive. So I am always so busy, and in my sympathetic time, that 12 hours is going to just be like filled, and I am like going hard. Like my husband's like, you just don't know how to do anything leisurely. He's like, everything you do is to an extreme. That's what he tells me. And I'm like, okay, interesting. Like, but when I'm off, I force myself to be off. And what I mean by that, like, I love watching TV. I'm on the Gilmore Girls right now. I'll go out to the park. Like there's certain things I can do with myself, with my kids, with my family. Camping. That's why I camp, because if I go out camping, especially you don't have phone service, like I've learned how to hack to give my body that parasympathetic time. And as long as I get that 12 hours, I don't care if I'm busy because I've given my body the rest it needs. Because the problem with what you're saying for an ADHD person who doesn't know how to turn off is if you never rest, you are going to create chronic illness in your body. Like, honest to God, that's why I think my mom developed cancer at a young age. She was doing too much. My mom was like this, but she had no coping skills. And I learned so much from her. I've learned from my patients who are like this. It's, you don't want to rest. You just want to go, 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 go. But if you listen to that, what your brain wants you to do, you're destroying your human body. So it's
Yeah.
like you have to, on your task list, has to be rest.
Yeah, and I'll also add to that. So in the very beginning of our talk, I explained like the two types of people with ADHD, like the overachievers, the go go go, and then the people who have like a lot of executive functioning issues. And from the outside looking in, it looks like they're not getting much done, right? Because they have this analysis paralysis, like they have a full sink of dirty dishes, they have laundry stacking up, like their house is dirty. But that is just as exhausting as the go-go-goers, because just because they're not physically getting their to-do list done, it's in their brains like constantly. Like they are constantly agonizing over like, I need to do this, I need to do this, I don't know where to start, what do I do, how do I do it, what comes first. So it's they're both equally exhausting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. That's
Mhm.
why, like, I tell my patients all the time, I'm like, parasympathetic mode means your body is resting, but your mind also has to be resting. I'm like, it doesn't matter if you're sitting down on the couch, but if you're on your phone scrolling through social media, you're watching a TV show in the background, and then you're thinking about all the things that need to get done, that's not parasympathetic mode. Or they're like, oh, well, when I go to the gym, like that's how I can turn my mind off. I'm like, oh, great. So your mind is more rested, but now you're physically moving. That's still sympathetic mode. So I'm like,
Mhm.
none of those count. You have to have the mind present. Really, that's the best way to put it. The mind must be present and not overstimulated, not doing that double screen time like we hear about. There's so much research on that. It's so bad for you. And so many people do that. They have the TV on in the background, they're scrolling on their phone. I don't actually, believe it or not, even though I have social media for the business, I actually do not engage on social media almost at all. I find it incredibly overstimulating and it, I can't do it. But anyways, yeah, what you're saying is even though they're physically not doing it, the brain is still going. So they're still exhausted.
Yeah. Yeah. And so both of those categories of ADHD people, like when you are that taxed, like sex isn't something that you're going to be thinking about. It's not going to be something that you want to engage in because like you're not at that point where you can indulge in those like higher level needs because you're just like surviving. You're going day to day, you're going hour to hour, minute by minute, trying to like cope with all the shit that's happening in your brain at one time. So
Mm-hmm.
sex, I mean, some people with ADHD have no problems with this. Some do though, and when they do, these are the things that I often hear.
So they're coming to see you. Is it typically individual or couples?
I mean, my preference is to see couples, so I would
Okay.
say,
So you have a couple come to see you. One, maybe both are dealing with this where they're having a hard time turning the mind off to be present with their partner,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
In
I,
general, probably not just with sex, but just in general.
yeah, like listening, listening to your partner, like being able to like hush your brain long enough to actually hear what your partner has to say. And then also like validate and empathize with your partner. Like that's hard to do when your brain is that loud. And that needy, right? It's hard to like be like, okay, I'm gonna put this loud, needy brain over here, and I'm gonna be with you like fully, and hear what you're saying and validate your experiences and
You want to
help.
know what's funny with hearing you say that, and you can't see your hand expressions if you're just listening to this, but Katie like just put her hand to one side, like I'm gonna put my chaotic brain over here, and I'm gonna be present and listen to you. I have to consciously make that decision when my husband's talking to me. I consciously tell myself, shut up, like my brain, and listen. And I don't want to, by the way. I don't want to. I'm annoyed that I have to do this. I'm also logically aware of the fact that I have to do this if I want my marriage to be healthy. And so, and I don't say this, I've learned just not, we don't have to share everything that's in our mind. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't give a shit. I don't want to hear this story. Oh my God, I have to stop and listen to this and respond and validate. And I do. And I do it all. And I'm really proud of myself every time.
Yeah. But boy, does that take a lot of work. And the thing
But
is, it often with ADHD, so the interventions, the interventions are, medication, obviously. And usually that is better done at like an earlier age because let's say you have a child with ADHD and you want them to learn the interventions, like good luck because their brains are, this loud and needy. And then you're being like, oh, by the way, you need to learn all of these like strategies to cope with your loud and needy brain. And it's so hard for a child because they
yeah,
don't have the regulation that adults do, where they're like, okay, I'm gonna make a conscious decision to put my brain over here and listen, right? They don't have that kind of regulation.
yeah.
Their prefrontal cortex is like not at all developed to the point where they
That's
can,
where medication's going to come in and help with that.
uh-huh. Yeah, so if they go on medication, they can like be like, okay, I can slow down and learn these strategies and then implement these strategies and not need medication, forever.
Gotcha, gotcha.
So that's one strategy. Also, a lot of people have found good luck like exercising their children a lot, like signing them up for track, signing them up for, swimming, just getting it out so that the child
Yeah.
can slow down.
So that's how my mom did it. We had no, like I said earlier, we had absolutely no sugar. We had only healthy options in the house. We had fruit. Everything, like we never really had juice, but if we did, it was super watered down. To this day, My husband makes fun of me. I can't drink regular juice. Even my wine, I water down my wine with ice. I can't have high sugar because my taste buds don't like it. And we were always outside. I'm not making this up. She had cinder blocks on one side of the house that she would have us move to the other side of the house. And then she would tell us that, oh no, like the project got messed up. And she's like, we need to move them back over here. And we did this all the time, but we were little. We were so stupid, like we didn't know. We would go collect pine needles in a wagon and put it around every plant in the house. And this was something we had to do like monthly, all the time. We thought it was the funnest thing ever. And she would have us race each other around the block and time us. Everything was a competition, which I don't know was the most healthy. We're all very competitive because of that now, but it was a way for us to then race each other. And she'd be like, oh, no, like Mark beat you. Like, you got to go again. And here we are, just like always outside moving, which is why I became a physical therapist. Cause like, I didn't know any other way of life. I was like, how can I sit in an office? I was like, I have to do a job where I'm moving. And that's, I don't know if that was the best way to handle it, but that's how she handled us.
Yeah. So she provided you with a lot of physical stimulation.
Yep.
And nowadays kids have a lot of like cerebral stimulation with like video games and the things that they're doing, but they're not moving their body. And I'm not saying that's a better or worse thing. I'm just saying like you'll see kids with ADHD seeking stimulation. The good thing about the physical stimulation is that it tires you out
Yeah.
versus playing the video games doesn't really tire our body out, and it can cause, a lot of some other issues that are undesirable.
Right. That's why in yoga, in yoga, if you practice yoga, you always do the asanas, the poses first, and then shavasana at the end. And if you talk to a yogi, somebody who is a yoga instructor, they do that to physically wear you out so then you can actually lay and be present. So when we really fatigue the body in that way, that's why I think I have no problem getting in parasympathetic mode at the end of the day, because I really work, I do a lot physically, mentally, in my sympathetic time frame. And then when I'm home and I'm going into rest mode, my body can easily do that. Not easily, but it can do it. So interesting.
So another, just one other thing about what you just said also is that a lot of, particularly women, with ADHD say that like weekends are good times for them to have sex, right? Because they can't unwind that quickly after like a full day of work. Like they may want to, but they have a hard time like flipping that switch. But on the weekends, that switch is easier to flip because they know that they have that downtime. So I think when all is said and done, there is no like solid or stable rule for how to cope with your ADHD, because we're so, like, humans are so diverse. Like, our brains are so complicated and our brains are so different from each other's that you just need to learn how to
manage your own.
manage your own brain and figure out what your brain needs to calm down, slow down, be present, not need the overstimulation on a consistent basis. And once you can do that, like, a lot of things will get easier. Therapy is so helpful for that. A lot of, especially if you have a kid who has ADHD, like, get them into therapy quickly.
Mental health therapy specifically you're talking about? Okay.
Yeah, mental health therapy, because mental health therapists can help teach those coping techniques that kids need to move forward and be able to do what you're asking them to do, like be able to do what you're saying is helpful, and get them, it'll teach them how to turn off their sympathetic brain.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Go brain. Yeah, just the go mode. Yeah.
Yeah. And it will help them get into that parasympathetic mode. They need to learn how to do that, like you have, so that they can enjoy the downtime. They can enjoy the weekends with their family.
When do you recommend a parent would bring a kid? What age?
As soon as they begin to notice that it's causing some disturbances in their life.
Yeah. You know what I've used with my daughter to teach her these analogy? I may have already said this, and I use this with my patients and myself, is a battery analogy. And I'm like, okay, you did a lot today. Your battery's empty and you need to sleep now to recharge your battery. And then I tell her what I'm going to do. I said, mommy is going to go take a shower. I'm going to eat. I'm going to watch some TV, and then I'm going to sleep to recharge my battery. And then I tell her, I say, tomorrow you've got school and soccer and you need energy for that. So I'm like, so I'm always, she understands that because of her iPad. I'm like, oh, your battery's dead. Like, we need to recharge it. So anytime I can tell she's been overstimulated. I'm like, listen, we need to recharge your battery. Like, you're too much. Like, do we want to go in your room and just sit and sing? Do we want to read a book? And I give her options of how to get her in parasympathetic mode. But it's all like both body and mind, because in her mind, she's chaotic. She's like, I want to go to the park. And she's screaming and I'm like, we're not going to the park right now. Like, your battery needs to be recharged. Like,
Yeah.
so interesting.
Yeah, those are great tools to teach kids, like how to self-manage in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool. Okay, so let's talk about sex a little bit more before we wrap this up. So with your ADHD,
One second, Molly. I need to message James because Lincoln's screaming in the other room. And I don't know where he is. All right. Okay.
Got it?
He's working out in the garage and he has the monitor in there, but he's
Oh, is he taking a nap? Lincoln?
well, not anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get it. That was like our podcast that we haven't posted because my children were sleeping and then one wasn't sleeping anymore and was in the background, turned on the record player. It was really fun. So with sex though, your clients come in with ADHD. I'm assuming their complaint is it's affecting the frequency of how often they're able to have sex.
Yeah, it's usually affecting everything in their relationship, right? It's really difficult for, I don't know what's more difficult for two ADHD people to be together or for an ADHD person to be with a neurotypical person. I don't know which is more difficult, but
I would think two together would be a nightmare, but
it depends though. It depends on like what their symptoms are, right? Because, you know, like I said, I'm fairly convinced that James has ADHD, and our ADHDs work really well together because I'm overachiever and he has some executive functioning stuff. So like, I just do a lot of shit, and he's like, cool, like,
yeah,
it's done. Like, I don't need to worry about it. But like, if you had two people with executive functioning issues, I can see that being fairly challenging. Or two overachievers would probably
two overachievers. When you said that, I was thinking the two overachiever parts, like that would be because my husband grounds me. He's so grounding and just he's like a Buddha. So, and I need that. And I help him with getting more stuff done. Because if it wasn't for me pushing him, he wouldn't get certain things done. So we balance each other out nicely in that sense, I think.
Yeah, that's great. And you know, there are, you know, positives and minuses to all brains, even neurotypical ones. So I think anyway, I got off track. So when a couple comes in, they're often experiencing issues related to their ADHD, like I can't be present and mindful, or I'm having a hard time like having sex because I have all of these thoughts in my head. Or like I can't orgasm because like my brain is full of like,
that makes sense. They can't focus on the stimulation.
yeah. It's just like their brains in it's going in so many different directions and not to their clitoris.
Yeah,
right?
because with women, especially, like if you're not focused on trying to have an orgasm, like it's not just gonna happen. So that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Right. And then men too. I mean, a lot of times men get so like in their heads about like performance or, you know, what their penis is doing, that they have like erectile issues or ejaculation issues. Because, you know, the sex is it's a somatic experience. It's an experience that you have in your body. And, you know, you can have sexy thoughts that can enhance that. But if you have thoughts that are unsexy or overstimulated in a different direction, like that's not going to help anybody or the experience.
No. Yeah. And then we know this too from the research, and we've said this in past episodes. You know, when we're being intimate sexually, that is a parasympathetic mode. So libido is parasympathetic mode. Now, the act of sex itself, right, is physical. So that is sympathetic in that sense, like where we're moving. There's a both modes are being activated if you look at what the literature says about it. But the actual desire to want to be intimate with your partner, you have to be in parasympathetic mode to even get there in the first place. So like if you're go, 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 or your mind is go, 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 the last thing you're going to want to do is anything sexual. So first we have to get ourselves calm. The problem with that for like a mom who's busy is, okay, once she finally gets herself calm,
You fall
she
asleep.
then want to enter into being physically intimate with her husband, or her partner. Like maybe not. And that's where we talked last time about like scheduling sex and stuff like that. But point is, if you don't get yourself in parasympathetic mode first, yeah, I don't see how you're going to really be able to enjoy sex if you have an ADHD brain. Because I have that brain. Like I understand that. I don't ever engage in sex ever with my husband if I'm in sympathetic mode. Because I know I can't be present and I don't want to do that. I'm like, you know what I want to do? I want to get all these 500 tasks done that are on my list. So interesting. What do you find, Katie, then? Are you doing a lot of cognitive behavioral therapy? Like, what are you doing to help these people that are coming in with ADHD?
It's funny because I think sometimes, well, I think all the times people benefit from therapy, from having an outside observer. Like, this is like, I'm not in your relationship, I'm not in love with you, I'm not in love with your partner. Like, this is what I'm seeing as a very objective third party. Sometimes all they need is to know what's going on. Right?
Okay, an
Because
understanding.
when you think about sex, when you think about like sexual issues in a marriage or in a relationship, it becomes a very personal issue.
Yeah.
Right. Like one person feels scorned because they initiate sex a lot and they get rejected a lot. Another person feels like sex is now a chore and they're very like opposed to it because of that. It becomes like a very personal issue. And they're like, well, now my marriage is shit, or I'm not happy in this relationship because of the sexual issue. Sometimes an outsider's objective opinion, like, hey, like, have you considered that this is like your ADHD popping up in this way, then it becomes a not personal issue, right? You're like,
Mm,
oh, this is how my brain is reacting to the stimulation. It's not about my partner. I'm not attracted to my partner. I'm not wanting to like I'm not wanting to have sex with them. This is just my brain's way of coping with a really busy day. It becomes less of an issue because both people know what's going on. They can put a name to it. They
gotcha.
can understand.
So you're helping them understand what's going on,
Yeah.
and that makes total sense because that's where it starts. You have to understand to then actually be able to come up with strategies for your brain.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then once
Okay.
they understand, they can try on different things. Does scheduling sex help? Does having sex on the weekends help? Does do you need something like a massage before you have
Yeah.
sex? You can concentrate on like calming down and being here and now, being grounded. Like we
Yeah.
can try on different things to cope with what your brain is doing, and hopefully one of those things will work. But you have to understand what the issue is first.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. My husband and I have done all of that intuitively, but because I do this for a living. And I have learned like any day that I work, I'm not having sex. Like it's not going to happen. I'm in too much sympathetic mode. Um, and the days he works is hard too because then I'm doing so much at home. So we have like a rule, just a known rule. If it's a day where we're both not working, it's whenever it happens, but like we're going to prioritize each other essentially. And that doesn't just include sex. It just means on the days we both don't work, we're putting a lot of mindful attention towards our relationship. And I also know in the morning I have way more energy and my libido is higher in the morning because I haven't really tackled all the to-do list hasn't spiked up on me yet, if that makes sense. At the end of the day, I have no problem relaxing, but I'm like, for me, I'm like, I have no libido at the end of the day. Like, I just want to chill. So it's like learning, like you said, so if they come in, you're observing what they're telling you, you're helping to highlight points about each person, their relationship, and then giving them that awareness, they can kind of self come up with tools that are going to help them
Yeah.
with finding a frequency of libido satisfaction
Right. And
that meets both needs.
people are so much better at finding tools that work when they're not like feeling like rejected by their partner. Because when you're feeling rejected, you're not like being solution focused, you're being defensive.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you see that happens, defensiveness? Does that happen with women or is that more men are getting defensive like that?
No, it happens with everybody.
Okay.
it's a coping technique that people learn whenever they're feeling like their vulnerability is being threatened. Like your automatic reaction is typically defensiveness because you want to protect yourself. You want to make sure that you don't get hurt.
Gotcha. Versus going into trying to problem solve mode.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, super cool. This was interesting.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add about ADHD and sex at all?
I don't think so. But if people who are listening have any questions, feel free to write either of us and we can get it addressed in our next recording.
Yeah. And any topics that you guys want to cover or have us talk about, please feel free to message those too, because we want to hear from you and we want to know what things you're interested in hearing about. So thank you all for listening. We will see you all at the next podcast episode. Have a beautiful rest of your day. And yeah, that's it. Bye. We are Dr. Molly Hart and Dr. Katie Schubert, and you've been listening to Sex on the Floor podcast. We really hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you have any questions and want to get in contact with us, you can follow us on Instagram at Dr. Molly Hart and at Dr. Katie Schubert, on Facebook at Pelvic Balance PT and at Dr. Katie Schubert. And for more information about us on our websites, you can find us at pelvicbalancept.com and at drkatieschubert.com.